All right, everybody. So this is not your typical Misfits. Those of you that have watched or watch regularly the outdoors ones, this looks somewhat familiar, but it is not an outdoors one either. We had intended on releasing a couple of different episodes. Actually, we tried to record two different times with Buddy Walk. And both times technology and the heat caused that to not happen. Um, and so we are now going to do a different type of Misfits one. So I am out in the kayak. This is not considered a Misfits Outdoors because this isn't really what we do on Misfits Outdoors. But I wanted to make sure we got a little bit out, and we were going to talk through some stuff that I had originally intended on writing. But was not able to get written in time. It's going to be easier just to talk through anyway. So for the next hour or so, we're going to sit and talk. Those of you that are watching live, welcome in. Those of you that are watching later, listening later, once we get this up on the normal stream, welcome as well. So, what up, Happy Panda? So, we are... There you go. Yeah. Good morning to you as well. Hopefully the vibe is somewhat cozy still, although the topic may not be. So we want to talk a little bit while we're out here. I am out in the kayak largely because of the fact that I'm actually in the middle of a bass tournament at the moment, and so I need to make sure that I'm still trying to get my the bass in that I need to get for this tournament. But also, it's a little bit easier for me to do these solo episodes in the kayak for some reason. I don't know why. So we're going to be talking through a couple of things that have I've had to repeat a few different times during the past week or so. There's been a lot that has happened in the past week or so. And so we want to make sure that we spend a little bit of time talking about it and addressing it, because for whatever reason, it's something that, like I said, we've been repeating. It's something that we have repeated multiple times on other episodes, just not exactly the same way. But we're going to talk about it. So yes, and good. Happy Panda says we are still certified cozy. So. Yeah, we are live at the moment. So if you're watching it live, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch is the other one that we're live on. That's what typically the Twitch stream when we're doing this is doing outdoors, and that's what Happy Panda joins us most mornings when we're out. And we have been certified as cozy by her. For helping her fall back to sleep. So, if nothing else, we're good for helping people fall back asleep. But today, we're not doing that. Today is a little bit different. So, like you said, this is going to be more of a regular Misfits podcast topic, and we are going to finally get to it. So, most people are aware that there's been some happenings on the international stage. Specifically related to the U.S. bombing of Iran. Now, when the bombs dropped, there was a tweet put out by the president talking about the fact that now it's time for peace. Now it's time for peace. And I was very surprised to see a lot of Christians agreeing that peace was now possible because the bombs were dropped. And so we put out just a simple statement like we normally do that just simply said bombs can't bring peace. Now, like most simple statements that we put out, it got quite a mixed reaction from people. A lot of people that were somewhat upset with the notion that bombs can't bring peace, because they would cite things like the dropping of the atomic bombs during World War II, They would talk about the fact that, well, now that the nuclear threat is gone, now they have no choice. They would talk about things like, saying, well, what else could we have done? What else would you want them to do? All these other things. And so it now has come to the point where we want to try to address some of those questions directly. And so the first one we're going to address is the historical one, which is they keep saying, well, what about World War II? What about the dropping of the atomic bombs that ended the war? And so it brought about peace. And the question that I brought up to people after that is, what was it that we dropped, first of all? Obviously, for those that haven't studied world history, we'll give you a rundown. The 2 atomic bombs were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima about going on 80 years ago now. Nuclear weapons that were dropped, they exploded. It caused Japan to want to surrender, and so that is what is credited as ending the war. And so this is what people are using to say, see, you're wrong, you're just trying to promote some kind of dogma, all this kind of stuff. The irony, though, yes, August 6th and August 8th. Thank you. The irony of that is that the concern that people had with Iran was that they were developing nuclear weapons. Why were they developing nuclear weapons? They were developing nuclear weapons to defend themselves in case other people with nuclear weapons attack them. The reason that everybody started freaking out about nuclear weapons was due to this nuclear arms race that was going on in the 50s and 60s that started with the arms race between the Nazis and the Axis powers, or the Axis and the Allies powers in the 1940s. The dropping of the bombs last week on Iran are directly correlated to the fact that we dropped the bombs in Japan. Dropping the bombs in Japan did not bring about peace. It actually is what caused multiple battles, including the bombing that happened last week. We can't sit here and claim that dropping bombs brings about peace when dropping the bombs is exactly what brings about more war in the first place. And that did not work. My goodness. So for those that don't know, I also got new reels yesterday from somebody. Oh my goodness, the whole thing is spiraling out of control. An older gentleman gave me this reel the other day, and it apparently is not ready to be used because it is very much not ready to be used. So I'm going to try to get my bait back, and then I'm going to have to switch this out for one of the ones in the back. So that was the first main thing, is just a little bit of a history lesson, is the fact that we can't keep claiming that bombs bring about peace when bombs are the very thing that keep causing us to have to drop more bombs. Now, that's just a historical piece. That's just a side note to all of it. The bigger thing that we do want to get to, though, is the fact that the other questions were things like, well, what else would you have us do? Ooh, something just jumped behind me. What would you have us do? What better option is there than what we already did? All these kind of things. And that is the first thing we're going to look at, is the fact that I'm not saying I have a better option. I'm not even saying that politically it was the wrong move. I'm saying, though, that we as Christians need to be careful about what we celebrate as peace and what we don't. And especially when we're dealing with the lives of image bearers. We can't keep claiming peace on things that do not bring about peace, but actually bring about destruction of other people. That is where the main qualm I had lied. Now, the article we were writing actually was dealing with this idea out of Jeremiah chapter 6, which most people know portions of Jeremiah 6. Jeremiah 6 is where we get the phrase peace. They claim peace when there is no peace. What that verse is actually dealing with 100% is exactly what we're talking about right now, is this illusion of peace that actually brings about destruction and not actual peace. What is it that does? What that does is that it causes us to not see the seriousness of things. We don't recognize how serious things are. We don't realize the pain of other people. We lose sight of the fact that other people are involved. It very much is similar to a lot of the other image bearer discussions that we've had, of the fact that the reality is that the concern behind the dropping of the bombs or anything else should be more so about the people being affected more than it is about the political consequences. The government's going to government. We say that over and over and over and over. The government is going to government. It doesn't matter what we do. The government is still going to government. The government's going to do what they are going to do. We are called to do what we are supposed to do, regardless of what our government does. And that's the part that seems to be, I guess, getting missed by a lot of this. Right, where's the empathy for human lives? Where are we at? And this is part of the reason why this is back to the same discussions we've been having as to why the ideas of claiming that empathy is sinful is a problem. Why else? Because we are habitually at the moment, and I think this is not just here in the U.S. This is something that we've seen throughout history, but we're in another cycle where we are habitually forgetting the fact that we are dealing with other people and other image bearers. We're forgetting about the fact that God desires to all be saved. We are forgetting about the fact that God has created all of mankind in his image, and that is what gives them value and worth. We have forgotten all of that. And we forget it, not necessarily intentionally, but we're okay with forgetting it because of the fact that it's bringing about a perceived prosperity, which is what Jeremiah 6 is actually talking about. It's perceived as peace, it's perceived as prosperity, but the reality is that it's actually suffering and it's actually oppression. We perceive it as that because we think we're good, but the reality is that God is taking notice of how we are responding in these kind of situations. And especially for us as a church, how we respond matters. We should not be, like, again, the government's going to government. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless. But what are we celebrating as a church? You know, we've talked about the nonviolent stuff on here before. You can go back and listen to the episode we did with Joe Day, where, you know, Jesus talked about peace. We did this with Nathan Blake last summer also, this idea of the fact that, you know, the Messiah, the actual thing that the Messiah would be known for is an ending of destruction, an ending of violence, an ending of weapons. You know, the beating of swords into plowshares, something that used to be caused for destruction is now caused for edification, and not just edification, but it's caused for life and growth. That is what the Messiah is supposed to be bringing about. So that is what we should be calling for. That's what we should be welcoming and what we should be looking for out of our leaders. Because, again, bombs will not bring peace. It's the same discussion we have within abuse survivor communities and things like that when we talk about survival of abuse and things. You know, the desire for revenge, the desire to get even is strong. We want to see justice done in that manner. But the reality is that if we enter conflict with more conflict, all we're doing is creating more victims. We're not helping anybody. Bombs will never bring about peace. Exactly. We never will. We are never going to be able to violence will always bring about violence. I mean, that's literally part of what we see in Matthew 5, right? That's why Jesus tells us to turn the other cheek, to not resist the evildoer, to do all these other things, is because violence will always bring about more violence. It will not bring about anything else. And so we can't continue as believers to feed into this lie that when it's our government doing it, it's justified. That we should just, I like the way you worded it here, Gio, that we should just cover our eyes to false justice and all this other stuff. Like we should not be doing all of these things, but yet we do, because it's easier. We don't like to look at injustice. We don't like to look at suffering. We like to think that everything's happy-go-lucky Disney movie. But that's not reality, and that's not what we're called to do as believers. We're not called to sit by and watch as these sort of things happen. We re-released it a week or two ago, but we did the discussion a few years ago on what the actual call of the church is during these kind of times, and this is largely what we're dealing with, is the fact that we are called to be the ones to stand in the gap. We are called to be the ones to stand in the way. We are the ones that are supposed to be, when violence arrives, when violence arrives, that we are the ones standing in the gap and saying, take me instead. But we don't see that happening very often. Instead, what we're seeing celebration of perceived peace, because of the fact that it's more convenient for us. And we've got to stop doing it. We've got to stop that at all costs, because it is something that if the world is watching and they're seeing how we're responding, the way that it looks and the way that it is, because it is the way that it looks, which apparently I put the wrong size thing on this, is that Christians at the moment in the United States, at least, are on the side of injustice and violence, and that needs to be, we've got to put a stop to that. Let's see, Gio's got a couple comments in here. Yeah, this is something that as Christians we should never promote violence. Even when Jesus being arrested, Peter was violent, Jesus stepped in. Exactly. And that's something, we actually have used that exact story to argue against even why Christians should be supportive of the Second Amendment, right? Because the story we've got going on in Matthew 26 is that we have Jesus being about to be falsely arrested by a tyrannical government, which is what the whole thing of the Second Amendment is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be, we're supposed to have weapons so that the government can't oppress us and that we're always prepared, all sort of stuff. Well, when Peter tries to do that, he gets rebuked and is told to put the sword away. Why then are we saying that now it's okay when it wasn't okay when it was defending Jesus? Why are we saying it's okay for the bombs to drop on a Muslim country just because of the fact that they're Muslim? Which is another argument that I keep hearing, is this idea of the fact that because they're Muslims, they are less than human. Was the argument I even got from one person, was that they don't deserve it because they are less than human. They cannot be reasoned with. They don't deserve peace. These are the comments that are coming from Christians. Like that, we cannot have this continue being said, because when this is said, one, that's not what Scripture says, and two, the world is seeing this, and the world is seeing that this is what supposedly Jesus stands for. It can't keep happening. We've got to nip it now, because it's a pattern, and it's a pattern that has been showing throughout history. I mean, this was the same rhetoric that you had during the Crusades, right? That the Muslims were invaders, and so because they were invaders, they must be destroyed, and if you do so, God will be happy about the fact that there were all these lives lost. That's not how the God of the Bible works. That's not what Scripture tells us. That's not at all what we see. But yet it's still being preached in some ways, that is who God is and how God acts and how God reacts. Now, along with that, there was another thing that got brought up. It's something that's been getting brought up for quite a while. This is nothing new. We've seen this. We've even addressed it a few times, I believe. Of more of the comments of, well, if the Democratic Party, if the Republican Party wants to win Christians over, this is what they need to do. That's another one of those things that I think we need to stop. Why is it that we as Christians are wanting to basically advertise the price we're willing to have paid to be for our faith? Like, why are we advertising how much we're willing to go for here? Again, the government is going to government. Let them do what they're going to do. The faith should not be for sale. Your faith should not be for sale. So why are we advertising it as if it is? I understand there's it's political commentary. Oh my goodness, that is a ginormous bird that's yelling at us. Don't know if you heard that or not, but why there's political commentary and all this other stuff, and it's interesting to see, but it's not what we as believers are supposed to be doing. We are not called to be subject to a political party. We're not supposed to be trying to get a political party to look like us or to act like us or talk like us or anything like that. We as believers are supposed to be outside of all of this. We are supposed to be, we are outside of it. We are, not a part of this kingdom. We're exiles here. Why are we still wanting to have the government cater to us instead of cater to our neighbors? The comments of, if you want Christians to support you, you need to do this, are maybe well-intentioned, but they're definitely misplaced, because again, we don't want to give even the impression that we can be bought for a political policy or whatever it is. Ooh, we got a bite. I don't know if it's coming back or not. So, those were the main things we wanted to just get out there, because again, we have been trying to record. We've been trying to write, but it's not been going well. But all this other stuff is going on while we've been trying to do it. So we want to make sure we got this out there and got something going for the month of July. So again, if you have questions, I'm going to stay live for a while. If you got questions, let us know. If you disagree, let us know. Whether it's right now here in the live stream, or if it is later on any of the channels that this will be going out on this afternoon. We are supposed to get a round of storms for about an hour, and so that's what I'm going to be trying to get this quickly edited and uploaded here this afternoon, while the rain's happening and before I go back out. When I go back out, Twitch, you guys will still get the feed. Everybody else, if you want to follow along with us the rest of today, you're going to need to go a couple of different places. So you can either go to the Misfits Outside YouTube channel. You can go to the Twitch channel. That's just Ministry Misfit in general. It's all of them. You can go to the or you can go to the Misfits Outdoors TikTok is the other place that will be live for quite a while. We're going to be at a different spot. We're going to be at a place that we've never been before. And I'm going to be probably using a rod that I've not used before either, because the other one that I had to use just exploded on us after our first cast for some odd reason. So stay tuned for all that. We will be going live. Ooh, I might have somebody here. Hang on. See if I can get his attention. It just surfaced right in front of where my bait is. Guess not. So anyway, we're going to be doing all that later today. So stay tuned for all that. Again, we're going to stay on this stream for a while, at least until the rain hits. So if you got any questions, any comments, anything like that, anything that I said I was going to cover that I forgot to, let me know, because it's very possible that I forgot when my rod suddenly stopped working on me. I think we're going to move to a different part of the lake, though, here. Again, I'm in the middle of a bass tournament is why I'm out here at the moment. Otherwise, I would have just waited and done this from the studio, although we are in the middle of we've been in the middle of a massive heat wave. And, yeah, no fish on that one, unfortunately. That massive heat wave has made my studio, my in-house studio, feel like it's about 250 degrees in there. So I'm trying to avoid going in there as much as possible. But then also because of the fact that this was a... Ooh, wow, that was a good one. I have not done a cast that well before. Sorry, I'm just a little proud of that one. Because of the fact that oh, do we have something? Or am I stuck on the lily pads? Last time I thought I was stuck on the lily pads, I had a catfish, so we'll see. Oh, I might have something already. Well, it's released in the same way that I did with the catfish the last time. We'll see. It is drawing us in, whatever it is. Anyway, yeah, we, oh, whatever it was, let go. That or I lost my hook. I may have lost my hook. Yeah, I lost my hook. So I was definitely stuck on something, and it finally gave way. So actually, while we're having to replace hooks here, it's not bad out. It's just a little cloudy. And I just lost a bunch of stuff in my bag. But there are fish surfacing all over the place. I'm not going to use a top water. For anybody that knows what that is, I am not using a top water. But I am going to try this chatterbait out that I got the other day. Walmart fishing section for the win, right? Baits that are like 50 cents a piece. Or lures are 50 cents a piece, I mean. So we're going to see if it can attract anything for a little bit while we're sitting here. But yeah, let me know if there's anything that I forgot or that I didn't get covered that I said I was going to cover when I started. Make sure you're checking out all the other stuff, all that good stuff. For those that are just joining, because our numbers just jumped up, we spent the first half of our time out here talking through a couple of different things. So we talked about the stuff going on in Iran, basically. We talked about the fact that bombs don't bring about peace. They only bring about oppression. They only bring about destruction. And that is just another example of how we keep losing sight of the fact that people are image bearers, even those that don't necessarily agree with us, that don't look like us, that don't think like us, that don't worship like us. We just keep on finding more and more examples of where we are losing sight of that fact, the fact that, we are all image bearers, and that is how God sees us more than anything else. And then after that, we talked a little bit, not long, just a couple of minutes, about the fact that we need to stop, for lack of a better word, this is a word that I used with one guy over on Twitter. We need to stop prostituting ourselves to political parties, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. Stop trying to claim that our faith is for sale, and that for the right price that we're willing to bow down. The government's going to government. Let the government keep on governing. We need to just be the church and not worry about what the government is doing in terms of towards us. We instead need to be more focused on what the government is doing towards our neighbors. That should be where our focus is at. How is this affecting our neighbors, and how can we better help those that help our neighbors in these kind of situations? Looks like it may be raining. The rain got here a little early. This actually is working pretty well. So we're going to stay out for a little bit longer because it's not raining hard by any means. I'll let that sink for a minute. So I was hoping to be out much earlier, but I got to the spot I wanted to be, got unloaded, was getting in the water, and then discovered I did not have my paddle, which is kind of important when you're kayaking. So I had to then quickly run somewhere else. I ended up coming here where they had paddles and were going to let me borrow one. And so I was able to get out here, but about a half hour, 45 minutes late, and also about 15 minutes closer to where the rain is coming from. So I'm going to not be able to be out quite as long, but I was at least able to get out to talk with you guys for a little bit before the rain actually hit. So we're going to see if we can't get a hit here. I know there are bass over here. I've seen the bass over here. It's just a matter of getting them to become interested in what I'm offering. That is the issue. So, ooh, do I got one? Nope. All right, we need to move this one out of the way. Because all it is in the way at the moment. So yeah, we're going to keep floating for a little bit, see. The annoying thing for me is that this tournament requires us to use artificial bait, because if I was able to use the live bait, I would be in good shape, because I know where to go and what to throw with live bait. But artificial bait has always been a problem for me. So like I said, we are going to this afternoon be live again on TikTok, on the Misfits Outdoors YouTube channel, hopefully on the Misfits Outdoor, and then on Twitch also, assuming that my phone is going to work where I'm going. I know it'll work for TikTok, but Twitch and YouTube sometimes give me more trouble than TikTok does. Which, if you are on TikTok, be sure to go follow the Misfits Outdoors channel. We are at, I think, 3,200 followers now and growing, and the goal is to get to 5,000 before the end of summer. If we hit that, then we should be able to hit 10,000 before Christmas. So if you're on TikTok, go follow there. And according to Happy Panda, it is also certified as cozy. That stream is as well. So, but we're still going to be doing Twitch. We're still going to be doing the other stuff as well. Just TikTok gives us a little bit more monetization options than the other channels do typically. Something over here. Ooh, we got one? Nope. I thought I felt a bite, but it wasn't. See, we are definitely a cozy show. Even with a little heavier topic today, we're still cozy enough. Like I said, we're going to be live on TikTok and stuff. I'm hoping to be on the kayak, assuming that I actually remember to get my paddle this time. Ooh, Geo, going deep. It's only a heavy topic for those weighted down by it, and that is a big piece of this. Is that this is the other thing? If it truly was about peace, if being able to, if bombs were able to bring about peace, then there wouldn't be so much fear around them, right? There would not be so much fear around them. We would not be thinking, oh no, World War III every time a bomb is dropped, every time that there's a war starting. We wouldn't be thinking that if bombs actually could bring about peace, because it would be bringing about peace. It wouldn't be bringing about more anxiety and chaos. But at the same time, we are seeing, and this I think is again back to stuff we've talked about in some of the other shows with talking nonviolence and other things like that, is that we're back into the fact that we as a culture, we are so desensitized to all this stuff that it isn't a heavy topic for a lot of people. They're not that concerned about it. They don't think it's that big of a deal. They have bought the lie that if the U.S. does it, it's not a problem. And that because the U.S. did it and because we're the most powerful nation, that we don't have to worry about retaliation. We don't have to worry about any of this other kind of stuff. You know, it's just another example of that. Oh, I think somebody on the dock might have one. Oh, we got something trailing. Oh. Yeah, this like doesn't have anything like that. Oh, I got one, I think. Oh, I may have let go. I had a bite though. That's the first time I've had a bite on this. Yeah, let go. All right, we're going right back there though. Oh, my goodness, what's going on with this stupid reel? All right, we're gonna move to a different part of the. Yeah, we're gonna throw one more. Why not? I guess the rain already has stopped, so we may be able to stay out a little bit longer. It wasn't supposed to hit for another half hour, so that may have just been a little bit of sprinkling. So yeah, again, those of you that are listening, I don't know if I'm editing out all the background noise or not, because I don't want you to be listening to this in the car and then as Panda is doing, fall asleep. So I'm gonna let this sink for a minute this time. Rain's starting up again. Shouldn't have said anything. All right, we are going to move. I'm gonna actually. I know you're not supposed to do this, but we're gonna do it anyway, because why not? I don't blame you. Oh, good. I have another commercial to use with Panda's endorsement. So I can't help but think about SpongeBob and Patrick playing with fish hooks when I watch you fish. We're going to add that to the coziness commercial. For those that just joined us, because again, our viewer count just spiked. We are going to be closing up here soon, actually, because the rain is moving in. But we spent the first half of today talking about Iran, bombs, the fact that bombs can't bring about peace, the fact that we need to stop, as Christians especially, stop acting like they can. We also then talked about the fact that just in general, we need to end the conversations about what political parties can do to better win us over as Christians, because it's well-intentioned, and from a political science thing, it is interesting to think about, but from a perspective of what our role as a church actually is, it's not helpful. It's actually harmful. You know, and oh, this is what I was starting to say when I thought we had a fish and then we didn't. You know, I used this phrase with a guy on Twitter last week, and the fact that, you know, it's kind of ironic and maddening when you hear the way that the church demonizes, the church and politicians both demonize prostitutes, when both the political parties and the church keep trying to prostitute themselves to each other. You know, we're trying to sell ourselves off for, if you do this for me, we will support you. If you do this, and that's, you know, that's not what we are called to as believers. It's not what we're called to do. We're called to be sacrificing everything about ourselves for our neighbors and for those in our community that have no voice. You know, that is what our call is supposed to look like. We're not supposed to be doing things for ourselves. We're supposed to be doing things for others. And we've got to get back to that. I don't think I have a fish on, but it feels like I might. No, I don't. Felt like I had a fish for a second there. It is starting to actually like rain right now, so we may need to just start packing up and heading towards the shoreline again. We'll see if we can't get anything right here first. Yeah, it's actual like real rain now, so we're gonna need to start heading back in so that we don't get caught up in a downpour. So like I said, I will be back on later though. We're going to be back on the outdoors channels though, not just the regular Misfits channels. We're going to be at a different spot than here as well. Ooh, hang on. Something just huge just jumped right in front of me. We're going to try this first. Sorry if the paddle hits you guys. Ooh, I might have something on. Oh, nope, it's just the bait. I'm not going to run into you. I'm going to move. Yep. All right, let's get out of here. Let me actually check the radar and see if this is actually the rain or if this is just a pre-shower here. Oh yeah, we're about to get hit big, so I need to get back in and get loaded up here before I get drowned. So we're gonna start heading back. I'm gonna throw one of the chatterbaits into this area over here, which is where, if you guys were watching on TikTok yesterday, I was over here from the shore. because I know there are bass in here. Ooh, that guy just caught catfish. Actually, I probably, if I put, let's do this real quick. Let's go ahead and switch this up. Just because I know we probably can get one if we do this. Won't count for the tournament, but that's okay. We're already wet. It's not going to be, the heaviest stuff isn't going to be here for another 15 minutes or so. Let's just switch out my hooks real quick. See if we can't get us a catfish also. Because apparently that's the main thing I can catch out here anymore. Yeah, those kids thought I was talking to myself and were a little concerned. Thought a crazy person was out on the water. Alright. Yeah, so those of you watching now, because again, our number just went up. We are actually about to close down, but we're going to see if we can't get catfish first. Because we know they're in here, and they like shrimp. This is not what we were aiming for today, but we will go back to what we were aiming for when we go back live later. A different lake and everything as well. So. So if it was just going to stay like this rain-wise, it wouldn't be bad. I could even stay out here in this. But... Any books you recommend? On what? I guess is the question. So on the Misfits website, there is a list of books without covers at the moment because I haven't gotten back to uploading them. Of books from that we've featured on the different podcasts, and all of the books written by some of our network partners, both with Overwhelming Victory and with KFM. I'm not a big reader. People are shocked when they hear that for some reason. I will listen to audiobooks occasionally. Last year, before I was streaming, that's what I was doing when I was out fishing, was I was listening to audiobooks. I listened through the entire Lord of the Rings series last year while out fishing. But yeah, if depends on what you're looking for. As for a book, my wife has a bunch of books that she's reading because she's a reader, but I don't really. The book that I'll always recommend for people that are interested. So for those that have no idea what I'm talking about, Panda asked me about book recommendations. So again, on the Misfits website under resources, you'll find a list of all the books that we've featured at some point. But then the one that I always recommend to people, and I think it may be in the featured section also, is The Celtic Way of Evangelism. Is a good one by George Hunter III. It deals a lot with the stuff that we talk about in here, actually, as far as the different theories behind evangelism and the Roman Catholic or the Roman and Celtic models of evangelism and the difference between them. The United States in general is very much Roman. My argument is that the biblical model is actually much more of the Celtic, but it's not normally seen very often, at least here in the U.S., that people will follow that. But I think it's a much better model in general. Let's see. Yes, AR points. There's yeah, I know. I am 100% with you there, Panda. The AR points ruined any kind of desire for reading. So yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for. Most of the books I'm into are not fiction books by any means. They're theology books, with the exception of like Lord of the Rings, Narnia, things like that. And then I'm trying to think if there's any others. My wife has a long list of books that she's been borrowing and reading from the library. I have no idea what they are. I just know that she's been getting them from the library. That's all I know. Ooh, something's moving towards the shrimp. Just leave it here for a second. Oh, nice. Yeah, we go to the library a lot. Because especially with kids, it's real simple and easy because, they've got all this free stuff you can do. For the kids, our library even offers, like we're able to borrow video games, Switch games, stuff like that. So, I mean, the library side of it, I'm definitely a fan of. But yeah, the reading in general, just ever since school, has never appealed to me outside of a select few things. But there are things that nobody ever assigned me to read, and that was the annoying part. Until I got to college, and then the ones that our college professors were assigning me to read were not good and were just boring. So, yeah. Well, it depends. Like we have a couple small towns around here that their libraries are actually better than some of the big cities are. But then, we've got some of the Stark County libraries. Actually, let's see if I can get you out of the thing here. So let me see if I can switch my camera up. No. So we'll see if I can do it this way then. Oh, that's not what I want. So that building right there is one of the Stark County libraries. Actually, it's right on the lake. And they've got a decent sized kids section, a bunch of stuff like that we go there quite a bit. Oops, I keep accidentally killing the chat. Yeah, 36. Well, and then also, I don't know if yours does. Ours also gives us access to Hoopla, which is a digital library to get a bunch of. It gets us access to a bunch of things that are like audiobooks and things like that, ebooks, like Kindle type reads, things of that nature. Yeah, Hoopla is what I actually get most of my stuff from, because the library never has any of the stuff I actually am interested in. Because I'm looking for theology books and stuff like that, and libraries don't normally carry those unless you're actually in a like seminary or a Bible college setting. All right, we're gonna turn around and throw a couple more of these shrimp out here, and then we are gonna start heading back to shore before the heaviest stuff hits, because I really don't want to get caught up in a deluge. Alright, let's throw this out for a minute. Just see if we can get anything to hit. Yeah, rain's starting to pick up again. We're gonna throw 2 more casts probably, and then something just jumped over there. Something just jumped right in front of me too. Goodness, they're all jumping now. We're gonna actually just leave this here. I'm gonna throw the chatterbait out just to see if we can't get anything. The rain's actually slowing down. Oh, we got something on this. All right, guys, we got one. Hang on. Uh-oh. Oh no, I think it let go. I thought I set the hook good. No, it's still on. Okay. We're still on here. It's trying to swim under the boat. Goodness. What in the world? This guy's a fighter. Whatever it is. Alright, we're almost to the top, guys. There he is. Ooh, that's a big boy. This may be bigger than the one yesterday. Alright, guys, hang on. Gotta figure out where I put all my stuff now. This is a massive, massive cat. Oh, he just sprayed me. Woo! So aren't you all glad you stayed for the whole hour just for this? Goodness. Yeah, I think this may be my PB now. This guy feels heavier than... We're gonna see where we're at here. So this guy is, ooh yeah, 16.5 inches. And then let's get him on a scale. Let him talk to you. All the scale's turning on. Yes. It's taking its time to decide. There we go. 1.3. Ooh. Oh crap. Whew. Tried to run away on me. He's bleeding a little bit. There we go. Alright, we're gonna let him go after I get a picture because I forgot. But we're gonna just let him go. He's getting mad. So, not bad. 1.3, that's a new PB. Gotta get the gunk off my gloves. So yeah, let's see. That was at what? 1 hour, 8 minutes, something like that. Nice. So he was moving too fast for me to be able to get my other camera out. So. Oh, do I have something on this too? No. Just twist it up. Alright, I gotta start moving because I'm about to run into the pier here and hit these guys. That one was a very messy one. Alright, we're gonna start heading this direction. If it were just to stay like this, I think I would be okay. Aggressive mocha strawberry. Thanks for taking care of that for me. Trying to see if there's any more spots. All right, we can go ahead, because the rain actually has stopped. We're gonna go ahead and throw another one out and see what we can do here. I don't have my cooler, but that one would have been one that we could have definitely fried up tonight. That's all right. All right, we're gonna go ahead and throw this one out. We're gonna keep that one there. We are gonna throw the chatterbait one more time over by where I've gotten some white bass before. Oh, we got a bite. It's playing with it, whatever it is. We might have another one, guys. Looks like it let go. Yeah, it let go, whatever it was. All right, we're gonna start moving our way. Ooh, we got something chasing this, I think. No, I guess not. Oh, we already got something on this though. That was fast. Although it let go already. Some just jumped right next to me. All right, we are going to start heading back because the rain's picking up now. Throw this out there. Let it sit while we get turned around. So at least we got a catfish on this stream. Not what we were at all shooting for, but we got one. We are going to be closing down here for a little while this rain moves through. I'm going to be going back live this afternoon after I throw this out real quick. I thought I just saw some junk. Oh, we might have some on the back. We're about to run into a boat. All right. Let's move real quick. Adjusting. I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's coming down good now. This would probably put you to sleep, Panda. Alright, I gotta reel this in because I'm in the zone now. Let's get turned around and get in before this rain gets in any heavier. Alright, so yeah, thanks for stopping in for this one. We're hopefully releasing this today on the normal channels as audio and all that good stuff. We will be back on live on the regular outdoors channels here in a couple of hours, like 1:30 Eastern, maybe 2 o'clock Eastern, depending on how this rain goes. So stop back in on Twitch, TikTok, and on the outdoors YouTube specifically. And I gotta go turn this paddle in and get my keys so that I can load up and get out of here before the heavy stuff gets in. So I have beached and we'll be pulling this on. I really need to get a new paddle clip. All right, I'm gonna pull you guys onto shore and then we'll be signing off. Woo, this water is a lot colder than it was a few days ago.